Welcome to Real Chat with Kat, the podcast that's all about real conversations for real transformation. I'm your host, Kat Polsinelli, professional speaker, MC, and best-selling international author. Here, we tackle the tough stuff, the mud that we all have found ourselves in. We talk about the pivots, the challenges, and the victories that shape our lives and our businesses. From overcoming trauma and finding your voice to navigating life's unexpected twists, we get raw, honest, and open. You'll hear from inspiring guests who share their stories of resilience, healing, and growth. Whether it's breaking through emotional abuse, embracing self-worth, or thriving in entrepreneurship, you'll find connection, empowerment, and the tools to keep you moving forward. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and get ready for stories that hit home and conversations that make a difference. Let's get real together. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today on this episode of Real Chat with Kat. I am so excited to have you here with us today, and we are going to have so much fun. Diane and I were just talking about this. Like, you guys, if I could show like the before we start the podcast and like the behind the scenes and the bloopers and like, don't worry, it's coming. Diana's giving me permission, but we're going to have some fun. I am
Can't
so
take it too
excited.
seriously.
You can't, right? And so that's what we get to have a conversation about today, which I am super excited about is, diving into how the hell, right, to be us. And I know that you've got some really cool techniques, which I'm super excited about, especially in this like world of technology and AI and all the things. And anyway, so thank you, Diana, for being a part of the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited for this conversation. We met through Rachel Lee. I have to mention her, of course, but at any of her
Yes.
introductions, I know it's going to be an awesome conversation. So thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Oh my gosh,
Of
Rachel is
course.
amazing. I adore her. I actually fell in
Yeah.
love with her because of her cat ears on her headphones
Yeah.
when her and I met. Just love you,
Yeah.
Rachel.
I have a lot of positive things to say about her too, but as a mom and just seeing a younger generation have so much self-awareness and emotional intelligence, it really just
Yeah.
it gives me hope for the future generations. I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of talk about Gen Z and millennials, and it's the boomers we don't work well together, but really I have hope for the future because of the younger generations, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I know we
Yeah.
talked about this off screen just with our own kids and stuff like that too, which is nice and refreshing. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So well, Rachel,
Awesome.
as we dive in then and get started, tell us then, give everybody a little bit about you. Who are you and what is it that you do now?
Ooh, I've been trying to answer that question all of my life. I think it's coming together, but my name is Diana, and for about 3.5 years, I obsessively have been trying to figure out how to make this technology, this AI top technology that's kind of is consuming everything right now, how to make it really useful to the people who don't see value in it for them. So, um, I left my 9 to 5 3.5 years ago to create my own AI business, and there were a lot of lessons. And it was honestly a roller coaster jumping into entrepreneurship without really knowing
Always.
what your next steps are. It was a wild ride, but along the way, I realized that teaching people how to use AI the way that I was using it, really, I've rebuilt my life. I've been able to redefine my career, my next step in life, my identity. I was able to kind of find myself again. And I think this is where our conversation really resonated before when we connected. Was I felt so seen and heard in the way that you were describing your experiences, because it can be really the healing from our experiences can be really lonely, and there's not a lot of support out there. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm yeah, all that.
And I think, when you and I talked about this, which is why I'm so excited to have this conversation. right now, especially in the realm of AI and all these things, we are seeing like an overuse, and like we're
Mm.
also seeing all these things about people saying, it's causing them to be lonely and they don't know how to use it, or
Yeah,
they're using it so much that they don't know how to have conflict resolution and how to have hard
yeah,
conversations. And I was so intrigued by you, talking about using this as more like a mirror of who you
yeah,
are. Because one of the things that I have realized in using a little bit of AI is the way that you speak to it is the way it then inputs that information back out, right? Which is really
yep,
interesting because I think that so many people seem to think that it's just like across the board, this is how it is. And it's like, no, if you like really start paying attention to it and the information you're feeding to it, it then
yep.
feeds that information back to you in that specific way. And I was actually watching what was it? I think it was Diary of a CEO. I have an obsession with
Hmm.
this podcast, and he always has some really interesting things. But he was even talking about one time on his that a friend of his were arguing about like who the best football player was. And so both of them went and asked their AI who it was. And they were fighting between these two guys. And his AI gave him his guy that he likes,
Hmm.
but the other guy's AI gave him his guy. So it
Hmm.
wasn't a universal answer. And that was probably
Yep,
one of the first times that I was like, oh my gosh. We're over here thinking that it's like giving us the things off the internet and feeding us all the same knowledge, and it's not.
yep,
It's tweaking it based on the way that you provide information to it. And if you're one of those people, and I'm not, so no offense to anyone that is, but if you're one of those people that like is feeding into it like your emotions and how you feel
right.
about things, then it is going to spit things out based on that
Yeah,
instead of giving you like blind neutral clarity, which is really
yeah.
interesting.
And scary. And
Yeah.
scary because incredibly scary because this is, I think, where, I mean, on the topic of AI, oh, this is, I don't know where to start with all of this.
Just dive in.
I
Just dive
don't know
in.
where to start with all this. Okay. It's, it truly is a reflection of our thinking, our, our fears, our shames. It really is. It's like it's talking to ChatGPT, for example, as somebody who is healing from coercive control. I had zero trust in my thinking, zero trust whatsoever. Like I was second
Hmm.
guessing myself about every single decision that you make. You're like, is this right? Am I crazy? Am I doing this? Are people going to think that I'm crazy for doing this? It's, I've used it in a way where I was checking my thinking. And then from that, being able to validate my story, find language for my story. And once I have my story, then I feel as if I can start putting myself out into the world. But it's being so fragmented and not having a sense of where to start. I think it's a really cool place to start if you're not using it for quick answers and you are a grounded individual where you have discernment and you know how to tell things from right and wrong. And I think the problem with it is that just generally our I don't think that we as a society are equipped with the skills to determine that right now. I think a lot of it,
Yeah.
there's so many fakes out there. In the last 3 years, it has just been amplified by all the digital avatars and, um, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like the fakes
Hmm.
that it's so scary that when you don't trust your thinking and you're constantly outsourcing your validation to another person, another group, or now even AI, it's you tend to believe it because we want that validation. So I think what
Yeah.
it's asking for us to do is do the complete opposite. And you have to know it for yourself and use it to just second check you, but never go to it as a final answer.
Ooh, yeah. Okay. I really like this because I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of people go to it for all of the answers.
Yes.
And I think that the other thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, from my understanding, outside of it pulling information you're giving to it, it's pulling things from like all over the internet,
Mhm.
which can be
Yeah.
right or wrong to begin
Yes.
with, right? It's not like it's pulling from
Right.
like Harvard studies only and Stanford, like it's pulling
No.
from people's blogs that they've put out there with their
Yep.
own personal opinions, which have
Exactly.
zero, backup of what is being said or why it should be that way.
Yeah, exactly. So it is a reflection of where we are in society because the most polarizing opinions and voices are going to be on the internet. So yeah, incredibly biased. It's not going to be always
Yeah.
factual. So if anything, it's forcing us to be more critical, have developed critical thinking skills to be able to say, okay, that looks sketchy. I'm going to trust myself enough to not click on that link and go that way. But
Mm,
this is a really big challenge because we have to think about the people who have access to tools. It's everybody all over the world.
yeah.
So how do we get people to do that? I mean, how do you get people to not be scared of change? How do you get people to use AI better? It's essentially you have to teach them how to communicate better. How do you get people who have no desire to learn it or they just don't see what's in it for them? How do you get them to see that it is a tool to support your agency and building your agency and as a way as an alternate path to income? And so you can develop financial sovereignty too. It's how do you get them to see that when all we're doing is fearing things? So there's so many different things that you need to address before we start talking about here, but for just putting it out into the world and say, hey, here is an AI tool. You guys figure it out because the only people who are
Hmm.
really running with it are the entrepreneurial minds.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay. So we're talking about a lot of things that
I
we are not
know.
taught as we are growing up, including,
Yeah.
discernment, boundaries, emotional
Yes.
intelligence, being
Yes.
able to know inherently, what really resonates with you and what you're like, I feel like I should challenge that.
Yes.
Because we do live in a society where everything is thrown at us. I
Yeah.
swear every ad that is anywhere out there is why you are bad, why you suck,
Yeah.
and why you
Yeah.
need them, right?
Why you
Like,
need to be fixed, right?
yeah, everything
Constantly. Yes.
is basically gaslighting. That's what it's
Everything.
doing. Like it is
That's marketing.
really
That works. It's
yeah,
fear-based.
what's
It
so funny
works.
too is like since I've worked on myself and really worked through some of these things and become more aware of the language that I use, the language that other people use, and the
Yes.
language that's used in marketing, I get so irritated the minute that an ad pops up that's like, I know that you're running your business like this, but did you know? And I'm like,
Yeah.
screw you.
I just I don't do, I think the bro marketing angle, it just doesn't sit in my body right. And I refuse to do it that way. And I think if anything, it's, it's forced. Okay. So adding to the whole like avatars and authentic, now we're going into authenticity, right? It's,
Hmm.
I think there's going to be more of a push for us just showing up messy and just being honest about the fact that we are still figuring shit out and life is changing way faster than we can keep up with and being okay with it because it's every single one of us. It's whether we talk about it or not. It's every single
Yeah.
person I have talked to, even outside of professional, like from a professional scope. It's they open up and say, "Hey, I'm stuck. I'm unhappy at work. I want more. I wish I could spend more time with my kids." And it's they keep it to themselves and there's shame around that and
Hmm.
feeling like you have to be further along in life and all of that. It's everything that I've
Yeah.
experienced the last few years. It's getting people to feel that it is okay to be in that space before and then giving permission to want something different. Because I don't think a lot of folks realize that they don't have to only work this way and make money this way. You don't
Yeah.
have to participate in this game if you don't want to. And here is alternate paths. And I think that's what's cool about this technology, as disruptive as it is, it also gives people a clear path forward if that's the path that they choose to take. So you have
Hmm.
options, but the option part, it's not really an option when you don't know what you don't know and you've been told all of your life, literally from the moment you were born, into thinking that this is the only path you are to take, and other than that is failure. I mean, I'm going off on just like a random tangent right now, I think, but this is going to be scary. This is going to be scary
Yeah.
when people are not equipped with the language or with the support systems and knowing that they can do something outside of the box. And this is where the danger comes in with society. We're going to be numbing and over medicating. And yeah, that's kind of the fear I have of this direction it's going, unless
Yeah.
there are people openly talking about it and raising awareness and normalizing
Hmm.
that this is just the way it is right now, and we have to give ourselves more grace.
Yeah, and I agree with you too. I think that, authenticity has definitely become like the hot word, right? Like everybody is overusing the living hell out of it. And at the same time, there are people that are doing really good things with
Yeah.
utilizing that of showing, the messy middle and hard days and stuff like that, which I am a huge fan and advocate of.
Yeah.
I will post things when I'm not in the best mood. I will talk about, maybe not in detail, but like you may see all of these things of me going this direction, but like this is what was happening behind the scenes yesterday. Like I enjoy showing that. And I think that on top of COVID and things moving into AI, I think that a lot more people are craving that, right?
Yeah.
Whereas before it was like, just feed me whatever so that I can be in this zone. But I kind of want to take a step back, right? Because I feel
Yeah.
like, okay, let's say that we've got part of the audience that is like, okay, I'm intrigued. I think this would be interesting. Maybe this would be a first step before I go into therapy or, buy courses or whatever the case may be, right? However, I'm still at a point where I don't really know how to trust myself, or I don't know how to be like, I should think about that. Where do we start in that regard before we just say, okay, well, AI should be able to solve it if I just learn how to use it in this way? And I feel like we're almost jumping the gun where there's a
Hmm.
little bit of work that needs to be done prior to. So let's kind of chat about that.
Okay, awesome question. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, whether it's an individual or a team or a larger organization. It's oftentimes we are doing so many things because we're forced to go online. We have to now a traditional business model will bringing it down to online. You throw in Teams and all these little apps, and we're all forced to do things. And all of these decisions are made out of like the scarcity, right? So now generative AI is in the mix at the end of 2022, and the introduction of that to the world it fundamentally shifts how we work. Like every aspect of your business, every industry, every niche, it changes everything. So I think when you want to make money really quickly, it's very easy to go sell a solution for a fragmented piece of your business, like marketing.
Mm,
But there's
hmm.
so many other parts to a business. And as a solo founder, if you have a small team, you don't even realize you're doing all of these roles. And then as an organization, you have teams and departments, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of similarities there. So it's before we start doing automations, before we start introducing any kind of systems or even jumping right to marketing, the most important thing is to get language for who you are, what your business is right now, what you stand for, your goals, your mission, your values, the things that you would need to tell like an expert consultant in business, for example. This is how you would prepare for this. So my document is about 25 pages where knows a lot about me, my history, so that when I now work with on a new project or a new AI model, I don't have to regurgitate all that. I have everything ready to
Mm,
go down to my services, the psychographics of my ideal client. It knows me and the people that I serve. So I'm not starting from ground zero every single time. So it's the foundational clarity. And once you have that, then you know what platforms you have to be posting on. Because you know where your audience hangs out. You're not just randomly guessing or expecting somebody else to tell you or AI to tell you. So
hmm.
you have a path forward, and at that point it just becomes execution of the implementation. So it's we're going to start with a carousel funnel. With Claude, everybody's excited about turning like a blog article into a carousel with
Yeah.
a custom GPT or a skill. I mean, this is where it starts, but this comes after we start with the initial foundation of just getting the clarity and the language for it. And that's where it becomes really hard for individuals making that transition from maybe leaving employment and trying to build something of your own. Businesses, it's you can do branding, messaging, they have everything. When it comes to you, the hardest part is saying who you are, what you stand for, what excites you, what brings you joy, um, like how you want to design your life. And that comes down to permission and just self-inquiry. And that part is there's no timeline for that.
Yeah.
Learning and becoming being connected to yourself after, especially after, of course, control, it can take a really long time to heal. I mean, it's
Hmm.
fundamentally rewiring your brain and your operating system so that you learn to trust yourself again. So it's taking small steps, getting the foundational clarity, just having your nervous system slowly trust that every time you do something where you're visible and seen, learning to having it learn that you're going to be okay every single time you do these little micro things and then just building on it because it can take some time like being on camera for some of us can feel like dying and you avoid it all your life and you just don't put
Yeah.
yourself out there and that's not I know that's not just me.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And it's so funny that you
Yeah.
say this too, because I had a friend of mine that was literally just talking about this a couple of weeks ago. And I think she did a post on her Instagram about it. So if anybody wants to follow Emily Tassoni, she does a lot of marketing for Instagram.
That sounds
But one of the
familiar.
things that she was talking about was how, like you were saying, we've been kind of programmed in a specific way, especially if we've been
Mm,
in certain situations and things like that. And being on camera gets to the point to where it's so uncomfortable because you're not comfortable seeing you. And
yeah,
so by continuing to do things like, I mean, let's be honest. When I first started doing podcasting, when I first started being in front of people, I would like shake at the knees because I
yeah,
hated looking at myself. I would find myself
yeah,
staring at myself instead of my guest the entire time. So I'm like, am I moving weird? Am I making weird faces? Am
yeah.
I remembering to smile? Like all
All
these
of it.
things,
All of it.
because
Yeah,
we have this own perception that we build our world around, whether that is something that you came up with, something that was put on you because of a situation you've been through, you have a lens that you see the world through, right?
yeah.
And this this reel though was talking about how, just like you were saying, you have the ability to actually reprogram how your
Mm.
brain thinks about yourself. And one of the ways to do that and be more comfortable with you is being on camera. Even if you're not posting it, but like putting yourself on the camera, looking at yourself
Yes.
doing this stuff, talk to yourself as if you're, talking to a friend or something like that. And she was saying that, the more that you do that, the more that you start to rewire the brain to understand that, like, oh, this isn't that bad. This is actually okay. I actually look cute when I do this, right? Like, so you really are taking all these wires and transforming it, which by the way, for anyone listening, it's called neuro-linguistic programming, is when we're talking about language, but there's also a thing called neuroplasticity. Which,
Plasticity.
oh,
Yes.
it's one of my favorite subjects. And this, you literally are taking wires within the brain. If you guys are not watching, you should be because I'm making fingers, I'm showing things. But that didn't make any sense. But you literally are taking these wires that are connected, right? And you are causing it to disconnect, even if it's trying to reconnect. And the more that you do it, the more that it stays away instead of reconnecting to it. And eventually it actually connects to this new piece that you've told it so many times. The brain is like, oh, well, this is where we're going to go. And I don't just say that because of, things that I've watched, things that I've listened to and stuff. I legitimately did this with myself. And the ways that I did it, especially in the beginning, was when things would come up for me, especially if it connected back to my abusive relationship. And I could see in that moment, which that takes a little bit of work, where you're like, okay, I hear what my brain is saying. I see the direction it's going, but I want to challenge it. And that's the part you have to get to, right? You have to
Yeah.
be willing to challenge the thought that's coming through.
Yeah.
And that takes a little bit. But then if you can take that thought and say, okay, this is the belief that I know that I have had, and this is the reason why I'm thinking this, but is that what's actually happening? And
Yeah.
I used to do that all the time. I still do it to this day. It's just not as repetitive as it used to be.
Yeah.
But that's what I used to do. And it
Like
really is,
obsessively used to. I did
yeah.
too. Yeah.
I
I
almost feel
know.
like you get to the point to where you call your brain a liar because it's like, yeah, but we have all this data that says this. And
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, but it's bullshit data because over here is what's actually going on. Like
The
you
yeah.
literally have to reach. It's kind of like a toddler, right? You take a toddler and they're like, I don't want to do this. And they've seen it happen one or two times. So like
Yeah.
that is their life, right? That's what revolves around it. And you have to get to this point of saying, no, this is actually the reality. Like, yes, I know this happened in the past, but like this is what's happening now. I went off on a tangent. Excuse me,
No,
Kat.
no, no. It makes sense because I mean, reparenting, it literally has been a journey of reparenting myself. Like I have a 12 and 14-year-old too, but like a toddler, I used to have a picture of myself when I was 4 on my desk where I would literally talk to her whenever I had to go on camera. And you said something about being when you first
Oh,
started your podcast, like my first episode that I did, not episode I did, first recording I did for my YouTube channel was in July 2023. It took me 3 months to write the script, post it, and mind you, that wasn't even me. That was an AI avatar because I didn't want to be on camera. And the act of
wow.
posting it, I had runs for weeks because I had so much stress from like, will people see it? Blah, 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 blah. So I took it down afterwards and then I had to put it up again. Like, I mean, there's just so much anxiety around being
Hmm.
seen as you are and taking up space, especially if you are in environments. I'm not just talking about a relationship. I mean, this can be a childhood experience, like your
Oh,
childhood home. If you
absolutely.
like, it can be a boss or a toxic work environment. If you're walking on eggshells and You're scared to make mistakes that carries over into your adulthood. And I think for me, it's been really helpful for using a tool like ChatGPT to be like, hey, here's
Mm-hmm.
everything that I'm thinking right now. Here's where I'm stuck in life. Can you help me analyze these patterns that unconsciously are running me? And for me, it called out on my learned helplessness, for example. That was a big one where I
Ooh.
feel like I needed to be constantly saved, that I could not, as much as I was talking about this right now about agency and sovereignty, I for myself could not put myself out there and do the thing I needed to do, which is create content and market and literally sell a service because I was scared of rejection. Because rejection, like whenever I did that in the past, I was always shut down. So
Mm-hmm.
that association, that was a really, really hard one to break.
That's right. And I feel like every person has
Yeah.
that fear, right, of rejection,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
especially some more than others. I actually had a lady in my podcast a little over a year ago that talked a little bit about this. And one of the things that she did was she challenged herself to face a fear for 365 days. And what was cool was, as we started talking about it and getting through the conversation, I was asking her what some of those fears were. And she's like, it's not like, I want to go skydiving or want to jump off of a bridge. And she was like, it was like, go talk to a stranger at a coffee shop.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right? Like, and I'm like, oh my
Yes.
gosh, I didn't think
Very
about
simple
that.
things. Even okay, so one of the things I tell people with fear of putting things on LinkedIn, a simple comment on somebody else's post or just reposting it
Ooh.
without a thought is a baby
Mm-hmm.
step for some people. That
Absolutely.
is really hard. And a comment that is not supported by AI, just an original thought and putting it out there and opening it up for somebody to perceive it in a certain way, that's a huge step for a lot of people. So even those
Mm-hmm.
micro actions, they build up your confidence slowly and your nervous system like it starts to trust you over time too. And you take bigger and bigger moves. And being like it's the camera work, being on a podcast. I don't think everyone needs to do it, but when you get clear on what you are working towards, like when you want a platform, when you have a voice, if you want to use that voice to help other people, then you know that you need to work towards this. And I think that is going to be the hardest journey for so many of us. It's this camera work, the yapping, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and being okay with just being in the in between space. And I know a lot of people don't start because of this piece in itself.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that the other thing
Yeah,
is this fear of not doing it right or not doing
yeah,
it perfect, right? Like those,
yeah.
and those were two big, huge things for me, right? Because I'm like, I know, but there's people out there that are coaches that are doing it this way, and I'm not exactly doing it that way. So, like, is this the right way? First off, we have a huge invisible book that society
Mhm.
has put out there that is absolute horse crap. I just want to, can we
Okay.
just talk about this for like two seconds, right? Like,
No, two
we
minutes, 20 minutes.
right? Like, why
Yeah.
do we have so many unsung, unwritten beliefs
Yeah.
that we can't do something or we're not going to do it the way that everybody else does it? You don't want to do it the way that everybody else does it. Or,
No.
the word perfect. I think that again, I think we've overused that word. And so like I try to catch myself like if somebody is messaging me and they're sending me so like for instance, things in my community, I'll have a mentor that'll
Mhm.
message me something and instead of me saying, "Oh, that sounds perfect." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing." Like I've tried to eliminate perfect as an applause or as a something to give to people because we have such a connotation with that word. But
Yeah.
when I really look at it, and I've done a couple of videos on this, if we think about the actual definition of perfect, it's not how we as a society have it nailed down, right? Like the definition is actually very different. And if we think of one of the biggest things I hear a lot of people say, like, oh my gosh, nature is just perfect. It has everything that we need. It has this, it has that. Nature is everything, right? Nature is perfect. Okay, so I want to take that for a second. Think about nature. The streams run crooked or through weird waterways or
Yeah.
over stones, or there's rocks and stuff and sticks like stuck in it, or mountains are not even, right? None of them
It
are the
just
same
is.
size.
It just is.
Yeah,
It just is. Yeah. Yeah. It's, it's perfect because it's just as is.
yeah.
Imperfectly.
Like, and so it's like now that I think about the way that we use perfect and the way that I understand that term is very different, right?
Yeah.
Like if I'm using the word perfect, it's not because it's like done immaculately the exact way that it is supposed to be. It's because it was naturally derived. It was naturally created. There is an organic-y about it. Is that even a word? Organic-y? I think I just made up a word. There's an
It sounds
organic
real.
nature. So I'm gonna go Google that.
It sounds real.
But there's an organic nature about it. And if we think of nature itself and being so perfect, that's really what it comes down to. But I get it. Like I had this sense of perfectionism for such a long time. And it's like the more that I see things that are identical, the
Hmm.
more that I shy away from it, right?
Yeah.
The more that I see someone that is just being them, the more that I am drawn to that individual or to that
Yeah.
company,
Yeah.
which is really interesting because that's not how, as a consumer, I used to purchase and buy things,
Yeah.
right? But like I pay attention to those things now. And I think that you make better connections
Okay.
that way, that also feel better, right, down the road.
It's okay. I keep getting thrown off. I'm like, where do I start in all this? Um,
Okay.
and then I go off on a tangent too. But let's see. Just in entrepreneurship, um, I don't know if this is a shared sentiment, but it's you start off really lonely thinking that you have to do everything by yourself, like everything by yourself.
Mhm.
And um, and especially with AI, it's like you feel that you can essentially build out these AI teams and figure things out, and everything was done
Mhm.
virtually. Unless you're good at content, you're essentially just carrying over old school networking practices virtually online with people who don't know how to network and build relationships. So it can get really, really exhausting. So it's the again topic of authenticity. It's for me, it's been less about showing up perfectly. And my goal has always been to get to a place where I'm coherent enough, where who I say I am, my values, my mission, it's the things that I say that I believe in. It's like if you were to meet me at a coffee shop, it is no different of a feel as if you and I are sitting across from each other in a Zoom like this. So that has
Mhm.
ultimately been my goal. And I think I'm seeing the trend is also where we are realizing we need more human connection and we need to be with each
Yeah.
other and not do things by yourself. Like we are not meant to be doing this all by ourselves, and it's supposed to be
Mhm.
supportive. Um, a lot of these realizations through business, it's I'm meeting you at a time where kind of I'm opening, creating that space to allow all this to happen. So yeah, I get what you're saying there.
Okay, so then let's take this to AI. Okay. If we're wanting to utilize AI as a way to mirror our own patterns, where the hell do you even start with that?
Okay, so where I started was I was recently divorced, and it was a really long season of my life. Kind of got to that place where I wanted more. Like I wanted time freedom. I wanted to be responsible for my own thinking and my own actions, and not constantly have to be reactive to somebody else's. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that's also exactly when ChatGPT came out. And the first exercise I did was initially for a resume rewrite. But what ended up happening
Ooh.
was I provided a resume. I gave it all of my life experience, going back to when I was working at a bagel shop when I was 15. Like it understood me and the things that I did. And I mean, over the course of like between 16 and now I'm 43, there's been a lot that's happened, and using that information and also the other things. What brings you truly joy? What can you get lost in? If you could design the life that you actually want, what would work look like for you? Because we're allowed to ask that today. I mean, we have everything available to us in terms with the technology, the platforms to make that happen. And if you have the right strategy and the systems and the support available to you, then you can have a very aligned way, a sustainable way of making money and not have to check in and drive into work for 2 hours to sit at a desk for 8 hours. I mean, we have options here. So giving it all that information, and that's the foundational clarity. That's the uncomfortable work where you have to sit down and do all that.
Yeah.
But asking it to analyze your soft skills, asking it to help you identify career paths that you may not be aware of right now. And even
Right.
long term, it's hey, if there's something that that truly makes you happy, you want to start a business with your partner, your families. It's if you have this idea, this vision, like how would you make that happen and ask for implementation steps, then you have something to work towards. And it's extremely doable once it's broken down that way. And I think the starting point for if you've never used it before, I think that is a strong starting point, using it to learn more about you and find language for you. Because
Mm-hmm.
once you start using it for ChatGPT, it's going to be like, I want to work towards a business. I want to work towards a goal. Then you have to find language for how you need to be supported, because that's how AI will best support you, help you, guide you, and help you get unstuck with things in business and in life. So it's going away from, hey, viewing it as a replacement of marketers, software developers, yada, 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 and
Mm-hmm.
actually a tool to support individuals developing, building agency and working towards sovereignty so they can also live purposeful, joyful lives.
So we're thinking of it more as like a brainstorming friend, right? Like someone you can
Yes.
spit an idea out and bounce back, which by the way, I am that person. You can never
Yeah.
sit down and be like, if you could think on this, I'm like, absolutely not. If somebody's not willing to talk with me for the next 2 hours,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get it out. Like I am that individual. I have to, my poor husband. I'm sorry, I love you. My poor husband. Like I can't tell you how many times he's sat down. I'm like, okay, I've got this idea. And I'm like, I don't need you to tell me anything, but I'm just going to keep talking. And I will literally get to the point to where, bless his heart, 45 minutes in, I've done talked myself out of the thing that I know that I don't need to do and then into this thing and then kind of, and I'm like, okay, that was a great talk.
Yes.
And he's like, but I did. I'm like, I don't need your input. No, it's fine. I just,
Just sounding board.
yeah.
Do you follow human design?
Yes.
Okay, I'm a self-projected projector. So
Ooh.
so with that being said, it's I need to hear my thought. I need to be able to externalize my thinking and have that sounding board. I mean, I think that's where ChatGPT has been so powerful for me because now I
Hmm.
can do that without being told I'm too much, I'm crazy, you don't know what you're talking about, and finding language for the all the messy tabs my brain is seeing it structured.
Yeah.
It's like such a it's like a gosh, I'm gonna say I felt like I had hope for the first time in my life that I actually have a say in what's happening in my life and what comes next.
Hmm.
And yeah, it just feels like I can't I'm not scared of the unknown. Like I can figure anything out now.
I love that.
And
So
that's
okay, so
yeah.
we're saying that okay, let's say we're starting with kind of giving an overview of like the
Mhm.
life story, right? And then we're asking things like soft skills and stuff. So how do we, or are there specific questions that we should be asking to help with like pattern recognition? Like you keep saying this and that's not what this means, or you keep going down this pathway, but it sounds like XYZ. Like, is there something we should be doing in that regard?
I sent you that one link with the prompts.
Oh, yes.
So that's
Yes.
kind of like a sample of all the different ways that you can use it. I'm gonna pull it up really quickly so I can read one. It's
Okay. Which, by the
okay.
way, we're going to talk about that at the end, everybody. So make sure you stay because we
Yeah.
did. This is a freebie that Diana is giving, and I'm super excited. And I did not get a chance to look at it. So we're going to talk about it a little bit. Okay.
I gotta pull it up. Give me a second.
Yeah.
You could edit out the gaps, right? And the weird stuff. Cool.
Yeah, because I think that for me that is I think that's where people get lost
Mm-hmm.
is we almost start asking it for like expert advice to do the defining for us, like if we were working with a therapist or a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that is where things get really, really muddied versus being able to ask in a way where um, we are kind of like you're saying that mirror to yourself, that reflection, so that
Mm-hmm.
we can start recognizing. Because I agree with you. I think that that also is going to give you more confidence and understanding of who you are. And then you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm the one that discovered that. It's not that AI told me that, but it helped
Yeah.
me to pull it out so that I
Yeah.
could then recognize it.
Yes. I work with executives. I've speakers from all over the world where I do this. The first exercise I do is find language for who they are and how they want to be supported, because that's what goes into training a ChatGPT or Claude for them so that it becomes like a thinking partner, a business partner, an executive
Hmm.
assistant. But it is the biggest challenge in all of AI adoption. And if you are already entrepreneurial minded, you're going to be like, oh my God, now I have marketing. I have this. I can do things in my sleep. Cool. But those of us who don't see entrepreneurship or ownership as a path, they will never be able to see it. And I think the entry point is finding language for who you are and giving yourself permission to want something different. That is the hardest part. I think men, women, it's generational factors, cultural factors that go
Hmm.
into it that allow you to be like, okay, I want something outside of the norm. I want something outside of what my family wants for me. And it's once you can see yourself in this future, then that's kind of where you're like, okay, now I'm going to go down these rabbit holes. Like, what would a business look like for me? What would I need to make to be able to replace my current income? What would I need for this? So now you can get into more execution mode.
Okay. I
Okay.
love this. And I also
So,
think that
yeah.
it's really great to think outside of the box as well. And we kind of get back
Yes.
to that space of learning how to have an imagination, which I've talked about on
Yes.
the podcast before, but it's so important. And even Albert Einstein has a couple of famous quotes about how imagination is what rules the world. But yeah, so okay,
Yes.
give me like two or three of like your favorite prompts for
Okay.
kind of working in this because everybody
Okay.
can get the freebie in the show notes.
Yeah, I mean, these are probably my favorite prompts. It's mirroring your thinking and your unconscious patterns. I have one for the fears to name and explore fears you carry.
Ooh.
One for learned helplessness. I talked about learned helplessness earlier. It's the prompt in itself is I'm sorry, the purpose is to reveal places you may still be waiting to be saved by stability, permission, or outside circumstances and guide you back into agency, especially for when you feel powerless, stuck, or waiting for somebody else to give you a green light. And the prompt is if you've already been working with ChatGPT, cool. It's already going to have that memory of you. You just simply
Mm-hmm.
copy and paste a conversation. I've been thinking about areas of my life where I might still be waiting for someone else to save me or provide stability as a reflective guide and help me uncover where I might be experiencing learned helplessness. Ask me thoughtful, open-ended questions to explore where I still feel stuck or powerless, where I might be waiting for permission or stability from the outside of me, what tools, strengths, and experiences I already have that I may be overlooking, what it could look like to take one small step toward agency. And after you ask me these questions, give me a space to answer and then reflect back patterns you notice in my responses. So this isn't just give me marketing copy. It's literally taking everything that you know about me, help me
Mm-hmm.
reflect back to things that I don't see about myself.
Okay.
Okay.
Ew. Okay. I love this
Yeah.
so
All right. And
much.
another one I'm going to do. I have seven prompts in here, but I'll do
We'll
Okay.
do one more.
The identity alignment setup. The purpose is to teach AI who you are so it reflects your values, stories, and voice patterns back consistently. This transforms AI from a generic tool into a thought partner that amplifies your identity instead of erasing it. Best for before creating content, drafting offers, building strategies so AI adapts to you and not the other way around. So the prompt in itself is here are my top five values, three core stories, examples of my writing voice. Learn these patterns and reflect them back to me in everything you generate for me. Prioritize my tone, clarity, and story over efficiency. Mirror back my rhythms, how I start, how I explain my story, how I close. If I slip into generic language, perfectionism, or performance mode, pause and reflect that pattern before continuing. Check my nervous system safety. If my request starts chasing output instead of clarity, remind me to slow down. Act as a conscious mirror. Your role is to amplify my humanity and not overwrite it. And after learning this setup, give me a summary of my voice, my values, key cues you'll use to guide future responses. So it's not saying write this for me. It's help me
Yeah.
understand how I write and help me find language for the things I need anyways, so that I could start building a future.
Ooh. Okay. So you said one area in the prompt, and I don't have it in front of me, so of course, but
Yeah.
you were saying to humanize it and not essentially write it for you. Oh,
Yeah.
I hate it when I forget things, but it was like that one phrase that I was like, ooh, that is super smart. That makes
Amplify my humanity, not overwrite it. So you don't
yes,
want this
amplify.
to take over you. It's just literally to support you and the impact that you are trying to make in this world.
hmm Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. Now I have a
Yeah.
question because I'm not in AI as much as I probably should be. But when we're asking things like this, and I know we kind of start going into rabbit holes and pulling things out, do you ever feel like you have to remind the AI to stay in that lane? Or do you feel like when you give it that prompt, it generally tends to stay within that realm?
I think if you it's if it depends on how you set up that interaction. So it's let's say for ChatGPT, you can just use it as like, hey, can you help me make sense of this? Can you help me do this? But you can also prepare for it like you're working with somebody and it's a setup of help impact variables execution, HIVE. It's asking the AI to support you and help you. So who would you turn to if you're stuck in this one area? And you'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, for example, hey, I want you to act as an expert growth strategist that specializes in community building and understands coercive control recovery and yada yada yada. You give this role a depth, and then the impact you want to make. Like be very specific. Stop like
Mm-hmm.
write out a SMART goal that's something that you're working towards. The variables, it's giving all the context that it needs to know about you as if you were working with an actual human being and viewing it as it's like a consultation almost and asking it for execution steps and all the steps that you need to take to work towards that goal. And if you structure these interactions in a way where it's it's very focused and intentional, there's less strict. But if you are
Okay.
just kind of using it just to use it, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's you have to now know you have to fully trust your intuition as to when this is good and when it's not.
Okay, that makes sense. So,
Yeah,
okay, so keeping it kind of separate for those
yeah,
conversations to,
yeah,
okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, because I know that
yeah,
like sometimes if I go like down a rabbit hole, then the AI goes down a rabbit hole with me, and I'm like, oh no, it's not what we're doing. We need to get,
yeah.
I needed to go back this direction. Okay, so that makes sense. So making sure that you're
So
very specific and,
yeah, but generally, it's like the general chat, like everyday users, you just a new message thread is a new topic. And then once you are very clear on what you're doing, you can set up project folders and view each
mm,
project folder containing all the information and context it needs to know. And then assigning it that role of you are a project manager who understands all of this stuff too. And you're overseeing all the context in this one folder. So now you're organizing your projects.
oh, okay. Ooh,
Yeah.
I need that for my
So
brain.
exactly. So we don't know what we don't know. And if you stop using ChatGPT as just a tool to create cool images, it's almost like a project. It can serve as a project management tool or as an entry point to start getting organized. And from there, you can start connecting it with your emails. You can start connecting the communication of the work that you do within ChatGPT with other outside
Hmm.
applications. So this is where, I guess, streamlining things, it's introduced. Technically, you would have to take information, copy and paste it, email, but within that one frame, you're able to do the work and just pass it off through tech. Then that's time saving right there. So it's just finding little things to do and setting micro things up and then expanding on it.
Okay, that makes sense. And I think
Yeah,
that that's another thing that people get confused is like we talk about automation and delegation and getting it off of your
yeah,
plate and everything, but it's like if you don't have the foundational work of understanding,
yeah,
then you don't know exactly what you need to delegate or automate,
exactly,
right? You're just like going in
exactly.
circles and you're like, well, this
Uh,
person said they automated this, so I tried it. And don't get me wrong, like some of that stuff does work, but
yeah,
I know that like every person I have ever worked with helped, and even myself, like you have to come back down to the core pieces and do some of the
yeah.
things you don't want to do so that you have an understanding to be able to hand off.
Exactly. You said that beautifully. And again, like larger organizations, give everybody a license to use Copilot or any of these like AI tools. And
Hmm.
it's if you are a leader, if you are in a leadership position, yeah, it totally makes sense because we're tracking KPI numbers. But for the everyday employee who doesn't have an incentive to work faster, the employee who is scared that every one of their keystrokes and their mouse movement is being tracked so that they can be replaced by an AI agent and their
Yeah.
whole team being eliminated, there is zero incentive to do that whatsoever. So yeah, it's a lot, it's a lot of moving parts.
It is. And I think that the bigger thing though is understanding that like you get to make the choice in this,
Mhm.
right? Like you get to make the choice,
Yes.
you get to choose what information you put in, you get to choose what
Yeah.
information you want out of it, and
Mhm.
it doesn't have to become your personality. And I think that's the bigger thing is we have
100%.
to realize that we are still the humans, we are still it's you can hand things over in a way that it works with you versus handing it over to where it takes over you.
Exactly. Exactly. And the relationship, that's exactly how I describe learning AI, at least in my world. It's teaching people how to communicate better so you are clear on what you want. Like that is the articulation is the hardest part for everybody. And if you're not working towards something like a business or a goal or a purpose, then you said again, it's hard to delegate something when you don't know what to delegate. So
Hmm.
teaching people how to use AI comes down to communications, teaching people how to be a more systematic thinker, which requires you to understand systems and processes more. Where if you're only doing task-oriented work, I mean, this is going to be where this is where the fear is that this is where a lot of the jobs are going to be gone. And it's, I mean, there is truth to that, but there's also an opportunity to level up and skill up. And I think the organizations that also prioritize upskilling their employees and just reimagining what work is and creating opportunities for other people, for folks, their employees, and also having the transparency that's happening, but creating opportunities to upskill their employees and giving options, I think is a big part of adoption.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that I've heard a lot of people talk about, thinking that it's going to take over everything. And it's like, I really don't
No,
think it is. I think that we're going to have
I don't
some
think so.
organizations that absolutely jump into it way too fast because they think it's going to solve an issue and save them money so that the CEOs can have more. But I think that they're going to
That's
very
3 years.
quickly realize, right?
Yeah.
I think that people are going to very quickly realize that like the human touch in a lot of things that we do still needs to be there. Like, yes,
Yeah.
can we potentially do it faster? Can we potentially make it to where like our employees aren't having to work 50, 60 hours a week because we have these tools to help regulate? Absolutely. But I
Yeah.
don't think that I hope that we don't get to a point where we feel like AI is just taking over everything. Because I do not think it's an all over solution.
I don't think so either. I think these, if anything, these last 3 years, the things I'm talking about today, I've seen these patterns. I just didn't have language for it even 3.5 years ago. But it's enough time has passed. Enough companies have invested tons of money into um, just deploying it across organizations, and it
Hmm.
is there's proof now that it's if you don't view this as a challenge in helping humans adapt, that it's not going to work because only leadership, only a select people are interested in using it. And yeah, it's there's proof now of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Diana, I could talk to you forever.
I
I
know.
think that we do almost every time. So, before, as we come to a close,
Yeah.
tell everybody where they can find you. How can they connect with you? How can they be in your world?
Okay. DianaLeeAI.com is where you can find me. And also Waggle.ai, Waggle.ai, if anybody is interested in connecting.
Yay! And we'll have all that information in the show notes. So we'll make it super simple for you
Thank
guys to
you.
find Diana, connect with her, all that good things. And then, since we kind of talked a little bit about the freebie into it, just to
Mhm.
kind of reiterate, what is it that everybody is getting from you today?
You are getting a collection of my favorite reflection prompts. You get six, seven of them actually, and it is fun. It's a different way of getting started with AI for those who have never considered it being potentially useful for them, and also for those who are already using it for some kind of business or purpose, a way to be able to support you in your ventures as well, because a lot of business is personal. So it's very intertwined. So yeah, it's for
Absolutely.
everybody to try.
Business and personal are always intertwined. And if anybody told
Yes.
you different, they're a liar. Um,
Yes.
in every business I've ever been in. And of course, we'll have that information in the show notes. We'll have the links so you guys can snag that from Diana, from her, so you can get that and start utilizing that today. Diana, any closing words that you would like to leave the audience with?
Oh, closing words. I always tell myself I have to prepare for this. Um, I know that so many people are navigating uncertainty right now, and so am I, but it I want to normalize that. I want to share that it is truly something that thousands of people I've had conversations with at this point, that it is something that we are all feeling, the fear, the shame around not knowing who we are and what our next path forward is. So if anything, if you just want to get started with something small, it's giving yourself permission to want a different kind of life and want something more. And as daunting as this time is right now, it's what's unique is that you could have a path forward too. So I hope those prompts help.
Yes. I'm so excited. I'm going to be
Yes,
looking into them as well.
awesome.
So thank you, Diana, so much for all the
Thank you. Of
information and making AI sound not as scary. Like, I appreciate that.
course. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely. To everybody out there, thank you guys so much for listening. Of course, we'll have all that information in the show notes, make it super simple for you to connect with Diana and be in her world. And I do challenge you to think a little different when it comes to AI. Yes, I understand there are big, scary things that people are talking about. Yes, I understand that there are corporations that are not utilizing it in the way that fits society best. Profit is over humanity, unfortunately, in some degree. And I
All the time.
think,
All the
and
time.
we've always had that, right? This isn't anything
Yeah,
new.
this
It's
isn't
just
new.
that it's
Yeah.
out there on the news outlets and social medias a lot more. So we're exposed to a lot more things behind the scenes than we were 50, 60 years ago, right? And so
Yeah.
I challenge you to think about this in a different light. And, as Diana was talking about, maybe it's a way for you to be able to brainstorm and have your own sounding board, especially if you do feel like you are alone and you don't feel like you have the support system, but you want to make sure that you are making decisions more sound and not just because of the way the internet tells you that you should be or run your life. So that is my challenge that I'm going to leave everybody else with for today. Diana, again, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast. Thank you, thank you.
You.
And don't forget, until next time, do one thing positive for someone each and every day and see the difference that it makes in your life. Catch you later. Thank you so much for tuning in to Real Chat with Kat today, where real stories meet real solutions. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review on Apple, and share this with someone who may also need to hear this as well. Let's also keep the conversation going. Follow me on socials at The Lotus Effect, connect with our incredible guests, and remember, you are never alone. Your story matters, and you have the ability and the power to rewrite it. You always have a choice. Until next time, stay strong, stay inspired, and keep showing up as the incredible, unstoppable